Playbook Live. As always, you have your co-host Deshaun and Cornell, and it is Super Bowl Sunday, right? Lots of people are about to get ready to head to these Super Bowl parties. We have a great game happening. But as you know, on this podcast, we're talking about finances and we're talking about money. So, what we want to talk about is the the action, um, the sports betting that a lot of people are involved with when it comes to, them making bets, trying to make money really quickly. So we're going to dive into some numbers and talk a little bit about the difference between what sports betting is and what investing is, and how sometimes sports betting, um, though fun and entertaining, might not be the best direction to take. So, Cornell, go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about sports betting, some of the popular companies that promote sports betting, and so forth and so on. Go for it, bro.
All right, so um, sports, two sports betting platforms that are very popular. We have DraftKings and we have FanDuel. These companies generate billions with a B in revenue. Um, and they get a slice of every bet, every wager that people put in. And it also depends on what time period that you're doing it. So if you have like a big event like the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals, of course they're going to get a bigger cut, and there's going to be more people um, placing bets. So sports betting, it should be looked at as entertainment, right? You get the little thrill, you get the adrenaline rush, but it shouldn't be looked at as investing, right? So sports is merely chance. I guess it does have I guess it does have different factors. A lot of people may know different things about the players playing and things of that nature. So I guess there are statistics that play a role. But one
Mhm.
thing I can assure you is that most people are not going to have the same statistics that the actual sports betting platform has. They're mathematically setting you up to lose, right?
Yeah.
And this is why only 2 to 5% of sports bettors are profitable over a long period of time. So while you may win here or there, you may be profitable for an entire year. If you were to if you were to bet for 10 years, it would be very rare. You'd be a unicorn if you were profitable over those 10 years of sports betting.
Yeah. They're saying that legally, the Super Bowl alone, people as a whole bet about $1.7 billion on one game. And of course, this is a combination of how you're betting. If you're betting on a team winning a specific amount of points, betting if the team wins, betting if the team loses. But $1.7 billion on one game, bro. Of course, Americans, like as a whole. So a lot of people are putting money into this pot and that's not spending money. That is literally risking money. All that money is at risk, right? So that's not spent. And like you said, the the companies that are the platforms that are housing this, they're always going to win because they make money on people placing bets. They don't care who wins and who loses. They make money based on the bets being made. So that's like the house, right? Everyone knows that in the casino, the house is favored. The rules are leaned towards them to win. It's no difference in this situation. The house being those sports betting companies who essentially can't really lose, right? So that's who's really winning in all this.
Yeah.
Is Yeah. Go ahead. What you
And
about to say?
and I meet a lot of people that say, but buying stocks is like gambling. And this was a big misconception that I think stops a lot of people from investing. And I don't know if this information was embedded to us on purpose or what to keep us from investing. But people say, "Oh, stocks just go up and down," and no one really knows, right? But if you actually take a look at the stock market or the S&P 500 or QQQ, right? You and looked at the chart for the lifetime of it, you would see that it's been on an upward trajectory since the life of it, right? So in every dip that it's had, it's recovered. Yes, we're in a dip
Mhm.
now, but if history rhymes, we're not saying it repeats, but it definitely rhymes, then it's going to recover.
Yep.
So the times like this is where you want to buy, right? Because when you're buying at these low prices, when it recovers, then you're up. So that's something to think about. And I know that we spoke about how only 2 to 5% of sports bettors are profitable over a long period of time. 70 to 90% of investors end up profitable. And the only reason why they don't end up profitable is when they panic sell during crashes, right? They trade excessively. At this point, you're not long-term investing, you're just trading, right? You're
Mhm.
you're buying and you're selling, trying to time the market. You're chasing hype. You're buying things like Dogecoin when it's up. And then when it crashes, your money's in there. And also jump in and out of the market, which we just talked about. Trading is excessively. So as long as you're buying and holding for at least 5 years, and you're buying index funds or reputable companies like blue chip stocks, like Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, things of that nature, you're not going to lose. And remember, you always want to consult your financial advisor and do your own research based on the information that we're giving you all.
Absolutely. And I also want to be clear and say that we're not saying never take risk, never bet, right? What we are saying is investing and sports betting very different. If anything, I would say sports betting can be compared to a segment of the stock market, but it would not be considered investing. Trying to trade penny stocks and hoping that one blows up, that's placing a bet. That's increased risk because you don't know the outcome. Just like with the sports bet, you don't know the outcome. There's probability, and you can research and look up and see, oh, the chances of this team winning or the chances of this person scoring, just like how you can look up a company and says that has a pharmaceutical or a pharmaceutical company that has a drug that's going to come out, and you hope that the drug does well, but you don't really know, right? You're not at the company, you're not working with the company. So if anything, sports betting is compared to a segment of the stock market being, like you mentioned, Cornell, betting on Dogecoin, betting on hype, betting on something that has no like substance, but that is not investing. That is flipping a coin, right? Investing, you don't have to make a bet. You don't have to place a wager. You are using history, and we're not talking about a year. We're talking 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of data to place your money in a lower risk asset. The stock market, even with investing, there's no such thing as zero risk, right? But there is such thing as increased risk and lower risk. And when you're investing in companies that have shown time and time again over years, over decades to increase, the chances of you increasing with that company are a lot higher than you placing a bet and hoping that it lands in your favor. So that's that's what we want to say. The problem is that people bet first and invest last, and that's the narrative that needs to change, right? If you're talking real wealth building, um, quick cash, and don't get caught up in it happening to someone else, right? That's like someone winning the lottery, and now you want to go buy a bunch of lotto tickets because it can happen to you too. We know how that story would turn out. So definitely want to look into investing. Um, don't go YOLO on a sports bet, knowing that you have responsibilities. And like Cornell said, man, this is not us telling you what to do, but just think about where you're putting your money and what can happen if things don't go in your favor, how fast things can go away and how fast things can change, and what has worked over the last, you know, couple decades. So definitely something to think about. We wanted this to be a timely episode. The Super Bowl is happening today. So good luck to both teams. Um, yeah, we're gonna watch it. And yeah, we'll see the outcome. But the thing is, we don't know the outcome. It's literally up in the air. They even have probabilities on who's gonna win, but that can change. You just don't know. So
Right. All it takes is an injury. Not saying anyone's gonna get injured, but
yes.
all
That
it
can be
does
a
is
game changer. You know what I
can be a
mean?
game changer.
It could be
Exactly.
a game changer. That could be a
Yeah.
game changer. So
All right,
for
y'all.
sure.
Well, we appreciate everyone who came to listen. And yeah, all right,
All
y'all.
right.
So.
Appreciate you all. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. Enjoy the game. Later.